Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
Santer.
How are you related to me?
I'm your granddad.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. When and where were you born?
I was born in Marlin Road, Stepney, in London, within the sound of Bow Bells, so I qualify as a Cockney.
What subjects did you do in school?
Started off with, school was just reading, writing and arithmetic. And then with a bit of geography and history, I suppose, up until age 11. And then in secondary education, then we had languages, chemistry, biology, physics, and maths, as opposed to being arithmetic, became algebra, geometry.
What, you know when you took part in your test, what kind of qualifications, how well did you do in it?
I did very, very well up until the age of 11. When I was 11, I passed my 11 plus, I think it's called, and I went to grammar school. And I started off all right there in the first couple of years, but I gradually lost interest, and at the end of the day, came away with little or nothing.
What did the teachers think of that? Were you punished for that?
Not punished for the results, no, but downgraded in sets until I was within all of the not so desirables.
What were the punishments like anyway?
Primary school, we used to get hit with a slipper on the bum, and one master used to have a small baton, about 12 inches long or so, and he used to hit you across the hands, and the headmaster at the primary school caned you across the hands. Secondary school, there were detentions, kept after school, lines, passages from books to be written out.
Same as today.
Yeah, and caning across the bum. I got caned once because I went to school in Regent Street. I used to travel home on the tube from Oxford Circus on the Bakerloo line, and we were expected to wear a uniform, a cap and blazer.
Even on the way home?
Yep, all the way home. And I got down to Oxford Circus tube station, and when I got into the station I used to take my cap off. And I got down onto the platform and my music master was there, and he saw me without my cap on and told me to go back to the school office.
All the way?
Yeah, go back. Only a few minutes walk from Oxford Circus. But I waited until he got on the train, and then I got on the next train. But what I didn't realise, that when I got off at West Hampstead, he was still in the area of the station, and he saw me. So he knew that I hadn't gone back to the office. But I didn't really think about it. And then a couple of days later I got called to the school office from the headmaster, and he caned me across the bum with a cane.
So these qualifications you said you did in your age, well, what kind of first job did you get from that?
I did quite well. One thing I did like in the latter part of my secondary education was technical drawing. And we had a very good technical drawing master, and through him I got an interview with a consultancy in the Victoria area. They were gas was mainly the plants they dealt with, and I went there and I did right at the interview, and I got a 5-year apprenticeship.
First part finished. Next part is historical questions. So, how was your life during World War II?
Yeah, fine, because it was everybody's life. Nothing. I didn't know anything different. I mean, I was born at the beginning of the war, and so I was 4, 5. I mean, I can remember doodle bugs coming over London, sitting at the kitchen window watching for them, and my mother saying to me, "Tell me if the engine cuts out," because when the noise stopped, that meant they were on their way down. But I mean, that didn't scare me particularly. We used to go down into a shelter in the garden sometimes, or just go and lay in the hall. Yeah, it was normal. It was normal.
Yeah. What other historical things happened in your life? Important things.
Important things. What's important to you when you're growing up? Not very much.
Yeah.
I
suppose. Well, how was like for example, the moon landing?
Okay, the moon. I was living in America then. I was living in Northern California, and yeah, it was a big event because I was in America with Americans, and it was the Americans who had landed on the moon. and I can remember, I guess it was all planned so that it would fit American TV viewing, so they landed at a time when it was convenient and we all sat and watched it. That was impressive. And I believed it happened.
How about the assassination of John F. Kennedy?
Yeah, John F. Kennedy, yeah, that was before I went to the States. I just remember one night we were, your grandma and myself, I think my brother was with us, and just suddenly on the news it came in. I had a feeling it was sort of fairly late evening. Yeah, it was a big shock. But then later, when I was out in California, and I was living in Southern California, I actually worked just down the road from the Embassy Hotel where Robert Kennedy got shot. He was actually working there at the time. Yeah.
Double bubble.
Double bubble, yeah.
How about the coronation of the Queen? Was that around during the time?
Yeah, I don't know how old I would have might have been about, I can't remember what year was coronation. Early 50s? 50... But yeah, I can remember, to me, we didn't have a television at that time in our family, so I didn't watch it on the television. It was just a day off school. And I don't think it was a very nice day. I think it rained.
Before Queen Elizabeth I.
Her father, I think George the VII, George the VI, I'm not sure. But yeah, George. He was the man they've just made the film about, who stuttered. And yeah, didn't like public speaking.
Yeah. Okay, well, who Prime Minister have you lived through?
Prime Ministers, I guess I've lived through Attlee, Churchill, Thatcher, horrible Thatcher, Heath,
Why did one say
Major.
that Margaret Thatcher's horrible?
She just didn't respect people, I don't think. She was too much of a Tory. Yeah, Wilson. I think Wilson came across as a pretty good Prime Minister, I guess.
So has the government changed at all since it used to be to now?
I don't think government affects me that much.
No.
It's just something that's in the news. Yeah. And they change the taxation, goes up, goes down, but at the end of the day, you just live through it, hopefully.
This section is about how you thought about things around your time.
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of clothes were around in that time?
I think when I was growing up, when I was very small, a lot of them were second hand. Because my dad was away at the war, Second World War, and it was just my mum, myself and my brother. Didn't have very much money, so you got by on what you could. Teenage years, it was all, to me it was drain pipe, very narrow trousers, long fingertip jackets, the jacket came down to your fingertips, thin ties, very thin ties. Yeah, other than that, I think some of them wore very nearly like bootlaces around their neck.
How about music?
Music, to me, first time I had a great interest in music, I guess, would have been skiffle as a particular genre of music. Lonnie Donegan, Rock Island Line, things like that. Other than that, Saturday nights, I think you went to a dance, and it would tend to be big bands you danced to. Ted Heath, Joe Ross, things of that nature.
How different was it when you got to the 1960s with disco and
Disco,
rock and
yeah.
There was a big difference.
Different world. Entirely different world. Different scene altogether. But by the early 60s I was married, so... But, yeah, it was different.
How did you entertain yourself before televisions were around? What did you used to do instead of...
Yeah, we often ask that, because I was trying to think the other day as to when we got a radio. I don't think we had a radio when my dad was in India. My dad got back from India in about 1945.
How old were you then?
I'd have been about 6.
So you never met your dad before then?
I had, but I couldn't remember him. When my dad...
It's strange.
Yeah, when my dad came back, was demobbed from the RAF, came into the house early evening, and my brother and I had just gone to bed. And my mum came into our bedroom and said, "Who do you think this is?" And I said, "Uncle Charlie." It wasn't, it was my dad. I mean, I haven't seen him in years.
So did you have any brothers and sisters when you were living?
Yeah, I had a brother. My brother was 3 years younger than myself, and then I got a sister who was 10 years younger than myself.
Oh, so she wasn't around then when?
Not when I first came back from RAF.
So what do you think of the new technology around this time?
Mind-boggling. Well, today, you mean? The technology today? Yeah, I mean, if you consider, I've gone from a situation where I'm not even sure whether we had a radio, a television. So we've got a radio, and then we've got a television. My dad liked music, so we had a radiogram. So then we had 78 records. And then from 78 we went to the long playing records, 33 and a third and 45 RPM. And then mobile phones, iPods, iPads.
Yeah, I just bought one. It's different.
iPad 2 is a wonderful thing. I often think if my mum and dad could come back, can you imagine of communicating to you like we do with an email, send a picture? Oh, it's different world.
So I hear you live in this really old house in Hough. How old is it?
Very lucky. I live in a rural situation, and it's farmer's cottage, peasant's cottage I suppose really. But it stood up and stood up. Nobody's knocked it down, although I do believe at one time there was a demolition order on it. But they never got round to knocking it down. And now, 1565. So it's 450 years now. And chances are now, save a fire or a bomb, it will last, because it's grade 2 listed, so it will be looked after.
Okay. Well, before you moved there, did you live anywhere else? Anywhere abroad or?
Well, yeah. When I first married your grandma, we lived in London. We both came from London, and then we moved out of London in about the early 60s, 63, 64, to Horsham in West Sussex. From there, we emigrated to America and went to Los Angeles. Stayed in the Los Angeles area for about a year. Then we moved north up to the San Francisco Bay Area. We stayed there for about 18 months. And then we came home by ship, down through the Panama Canal, up across the Atlantic. That was wonderful.
When you were there, were black people still downgraded as low citizens?
Yes, they were. Not so much in California, I wasn't so aware of it. Although we lived in an area where, after we moved into it, we were told that black people couldn't live there because it was a white area. But
how do you think about that?
It didn't feel right. Oh no, it's wrong. But you go somewhere and you accept the norms, yeah? In fact, I wished I'd travelled more in the States and gone into the South, because it's hard to believe the segregation was as harsh as it was.
Okay, well thank you for the interview. That's all we've got time for.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.